The planet Valora had always been quiet, peaceful, and full of light. Its skies shimmered with soft purple clouds that glowed faintly at night, and its oceans sparkled like liquid crystal under the twin moons. The cities were beautiful, built with tall spires of glass and stone that reflected the sun in gentle rainbows. The Valorians were gentle beings, known across the galaxy for their art, science, and kindness. They were not a warrior race. Fighting was never their way. They solved problems with words, ideas, and compromise. For centuries, life on Valora had been calm. Children played in the gardens, learning music and history. Adults worked in laboratories or schools, creating new medicines, exploring ideas, or painting the beauty of their world. Every citizen contributed to the harmony of the planet. But peace, they would soon learn, is fragile. The first sign of danger came quietly. Traders and explorers returning from distant worlds told of a new power in the galaxy, the Zarn Dominion. It was a warlike empire, cruel and merciless. They destroyed planets without hesitation, enslaved populations, and took everything valuable by force. The Valorians, polite and curious by nature, initially did not believe the stories. Surely no one could be that cruel, they thought. But soon, they would see it for themselves. The sky turned red one morning, a color unlike anything Valora had ever seen. Smoke rose in the distance, and the wind carried a strange metallic smell. The people rushed to the cities and saw them burning. The Dominion had arrived. Massive ships, black and angular, hovered in the sky. From them poured armies of soldiers, their armor shining like steel. Weapons unlike anything Valora had known fired beams of energy, tearing through buildings and defenses. The Valorians tried to resist, but they were no match. Their small defensive ships were destroyed in minutes. Their armies, composed of teachers, artists, and scientists, were helpless against disciplined soldiers trained for nothing but war. Chaos spread across the cities. Families ran through streets filled with smoke and fire. People tried to hide in homes, but the Dominion soldiers had machines that could see through walls. Everywhere, the sound of screams and explosions filled the air. Gardens and parks burned. Monuments to their history crumbled. The Valorians, who had never fought, did not know what to do. They had no soldiers, no experience in war. Their only hope was to survive. In the final hours, the last of Valora's leaders gathered in a hidden underground chamber. Scientists, scholars, and leaders worked together, frantically trying to find a way to send a message for help. If anyone could hear them, maybe, just maybe, they could be saved. One of the scientists, a tall Valorian named Liara, worked at a glowing console, typing codes faster than the eye could follow. Sparks flew as alarms blared overhead. She looked at her colleagues and spoke in a calm, determined voice. "We have only one chance. The Dominion will take everything. We must reach someone, anyone, who can help us." The group nodded. They had built a special transmitter capable of sending signals across galaxies. Normally, it was used for scientific communication, but now it would carry a desperate plea. Liara activated the device. A beam of light shot into space faster than any ship could travel. The signal contained the words of a dying civilization. "We are Valora. Our people are under attack. We ask for mercy. We ask for help. Please, do not let us disappear." The signal carried emotion. Not just fear, but hope. Even the calmest Valorian scientists allowed tears to fall. They did not know if anyone would hear it. Meanwhile, the Dominion had no interest in mercy. They had enslaved the cities and captured leaders. They laughed at the Valorians' pleas, seeing them as weak creatures, not worthy of respect or life. To them, Valora was just another planet to conquer, another population to break. The Valorians' message traveled far and wide. It passed through stars and planets, reaching dozens of civilizations. Most ignored it. Most had no desire to confront the Zarn Dominion. It was too dangerous. Some civilizations simply did not care about Valora or its people. The cry for help became just another signal lost in the vastness of space. But on a small, blue planet called Earth, things were different. Humanity had grown through countless challenges. They had faced wars, plagues, famine, and natural disasters. They had survived. They had learned how to endure when all hope seemed lost. Some humans listened to the Valorian signal. At first, it was treated as a curiosity, a strange anomaly in the data. But the words repeated themselves, clear and urgent. "We are Valora. Please help us. We are dying." A few humans felt something stir deep inside them, a mixture of instinct, courage, and anger at injustice. Among them was Captain Aaron Blake, a leader of the United Earth Defense Command. He had fought in countless battles across Earth, surviving against enemies who were bigger, stronger, or more numerous. Yet, the plea from Valora awakened something different in him. It was not just duty or obligation. It was the knowledge that innocent lives were in immediate danger and that someone had to act. He gathered his officers in the command room of the orbital station above. Earth's holographic screen showed the Valorian cities burning. The Dominion ships moved like predatory birds over a trapped nest. "They are pleading for mercy," Blake said, his voice calm but firm. "And we will answer." Some officers hesitated. This was far beyond anything Earth had faced before. The Dominion was known to be ruthless, able to destroy entire fleets without effort. The risk was enormous. But Captain Blake looked at them and continued, "We do not have the luxury of hesitation. If we ignore this call, an entire civilization will vanish, and we will have done nothing while they suffered. We act not for glory, but because it is right." The officers nodded. Plans were made. Ships were readied, weapons checked, and crews briefed. Earth's best pilots, strategists, and soldiers would be sent across light years to a world they had never seen, to face an enemy far stronger than anything humanity had fought before. As preparations continued, back on Valora, the sky was filled with fire. Families huddled in ruined buildings. Children cried for parents, parents for children. The leaders of Valora worked tirelessly, knowing their time was short. Every minute that passed meant another city fell, another life lost. Liara returned to the console one last time. She whispered to herself, though no one could hear, "Please, whoever hears this, come quickly. The future of Valora depends on it." For hours, the signal continued to pulse through space. It was a single hope shining in the darkness, and somewhere, across the endless void, Earth's response began to take shape. Not a single ship, not a single weapon, but the monsters of Earth, as the galaxy would one day call them. Creatures of resilience, courage, ferocity, that would stop at nothing to protect the innocent. No one knew if the humans would reach Valora in time. But one thing was certain: the Valorians had asked for mercy. And the humans, driven by a power older than fear or greed, would answer. The stars themselves seemed to hold their breath as the first human ships prepared to leap into hyperspace, racing toward a world on the edge of destruction. The universe had never witnessed such a message of hope and terror intertwined. The quiet, peaceful Valorians would soon see the monsters of Earth not to destroy them, but to save them. And so, the stage was set. The Valorians could only hope. The humans would soon show that mercy sometimes comes in the form of monsters. The Valorian skies had never seen anything like it. The gentle purples and soft pinks of dawn were torn apart by dark streaks of metal, faster than any bird or comet. Massive ships descended from hyperspace, moving with precision and purpose. Their surfaces were black and jagged, with glowing lines of blue energy, that pulsed like the heartbeat of some immense creature. From these ships emerged the humans, the so-called monsters of Earth. They were not alien in appearance, but their movements, their discipline, and their presence carried a weight that the Valorians had never experienced. They did not shine or glow. They did not call for glory. They came with one mission: protect the helpless, destroy the oppressors. The first human to step onto Valora's broken soil was Captain Aaron Blake. He moved with quiet confidence, his boots crunching on the glassy remnants of a shattered city street. His team followed, equally composed, carrying weapons that looked simple but were far more advanced than anything the Dominion had faced. Their suits were dark, designed for practicality, not display. Yet every Valorian who saw them felt a strange mixture of fear and hope. A small group of Valorian civilians watched from the ruins of a tall spire. Children clung to their parents, eyes wide. One little boy whispered, "Are they going to hurt us?" Captain Blake knelt beside a shattered fountain. His armor bore the marks of battle, though not on this planet. His voice was calm, almost gentle. "No," he said. "We only hurt the ones who made you cry." The words carried a strange weight. For the first time since the Dominion arrived, the Valorians dared to hope. Meanwhile, the Dominion soldiers noticed the humans almost immediately. They were faster, more coordinated, and far more unpredictable than anything they had ever faced. Where the Dominion fought like a single machine, humans moved like predators, striking swiftly, retreating when necessary, then attacking again from unexpected directions. The Valorians, who had thought war was hopeless, watched as their enemies began to panic. A squad of Dominion soldiers attempted to enter a Valorian housing district. They were met with humans already positioned on rooftops and broken towers, weapons discharged with precision, disabling the soldiers' machinery without harming the city's structures more than necessary. Some soldiers tried to retreat, but the humans anticipated every move, forcing them into traps and blocking every escape route. The Valorians had never seen anything like it. They began to whisper among themselves, "These are not ordinary humans. They are monsters." The humans did not fight for fame or honor. They did not celebrate each kill. They moved like shadows through the city, ensuring that every Valorian who could be saved was led to safety. One group guided a family trapped under a collapsed bridge. Another rescued a hospital full of injured civilians. They carried children and the elderly without hesitation, shielding them with their own bodies. Captain Blake observed from a high vantage point. He saw the Dominion regrouping near the main energy tower, preparing a final strike to destroy what remained of the Valorian resistance. He made a decision. "Set the perimeter," he ordered. "We hold this ground. No one gets past us." The humans moved instantly, forming a defensive line. They worked like one living organism, covering each other's weaknesses and exploiting every flaw in the Dominion's plan. The first wave of attackers charged, thinking the humans would scatter like normal beings. Instead, they were met with a wall of precision, strength, and sheer determination. One human soldier, moving faster than the eye could follow, disabled 3 energy cannons in seconds. Forcing the Dominion to pull back, the Valorians could hardly believe what they were seeing. These creatures, whom they had expected to be small, fragile, and incapable, were dismantling the Dominion's forces piece by piece. Hope returned to their eyes. But the battle was not without cost. Some humans were injured. They did not cry out. They did not plead for aid. They pressed forward, shielding Valorians and neutralizing threats with relentless efficiency. Captain Blake himself engaged in combat with a Dominion commander, a massive figure clad in black armor and glowing with energy. The fight was swift, intense, and precise. Blake used speed and strategy to overcome raw power, disarming and incapacitating the commander without killing him. The Dominion soldiers who saw this faltered. These humans did not fight like other beings in the galaxy. They fought with purpose, guided by something deeper than survival or victory. After the battle, the Valorians began to approach. One child stepped forward, holding a small glowing flower from the city gardens. The boy extended it toward Blake. "Are you going to hurt us too?" he asked, voice trembling. Blake knelt, keeping his eyes at the child's level. He smiled faintly, exhausted but calm. "No," he said again. "We only hurt the ones who hurt you." The simple words had an impact the humans could not measure. The Valorians had never known beings like this. These humans were terrifying, yes, but terrifying in a way that inspired trust. They did not seek domination. They sought justice. They sought mercy. News of the humans spread quickly across Valora. Other Dominion units, once confident, hesitated. They had faced countless species, conquered dozens of planets, but these humans moved differently. Their tactics were unpredictable. Their courage seemed limitless. They did not fear death, yet they valued life, especially the life of the innocent. Lyara, the Valorian scientist who had sent the original signal, watched from a hidden control room as the humans moved across the battlefield. Tears filled her eyes. They came, she thought. They answered. Captain Blake gathered his team after the first major skirmish. His voice was calm but firm. This is only the beginning. The Dominion will return in greater numbers. We cannot save everyone at once. Hold the ground, protect as many as we can, and prepare for the next wave. The humans moved to secure the most critical areas: hospitals, schools, and residential districts. They worked tirelessly, sometimes going without rest, sometimes using their own bodies as shields for Valorian citizens. Slowly, a pattern emerged. The Valorians learned to trust the humans, follow their guidance, and even assist in small ways. A once-lost city began to recover under the direction of its protectors. By the end of the day, Dominion had been forced to retreat temporarily. They had underestimated the humans, and now the Valorians had a chance to breathe. But no one was foolish enough to believe the fight was over. That night, Valera's twin moons reflected on the ruined streets and the scattered survivors. The Valerians began to gather in the safe zones the humans had established. Children slept in the arms of those they trusted. Elders sat quietly, with hope returning to their eyes, and the leaders whispered plans for rebuilding what they could. Captain Blake stood on a high tower watching the city. His eyes were tired, but his mind was sharp. He understood the cost of what they had done. The humans were not invincible. Many could be hurt or killed, yet they had come to answer a cry for help, a civilization pleading for mercy, and they would continue to answer. The Valorians, once hopeless, dared to imagine a future where they could survive, rebuild, and thrive. And for the humans, the battle had shown something else entirely: that true strength is not measured by conquest, but by the courage to protect the weak, even in the face of unimaginable danger. As the night deepened, but sometimes the monsters are the only ones who can save the innocent. And somewhere, in the shadows of the ruined city, the Dominion prepared their next attack. They had seen the humans' power, and they would not forgive it. But they did not yet understand the full scope of what humanity was capable of. The humans had come to answer a plea for mercy. And the Valorians began to learn the meaning of hope, fear, and awe all at once. The monsters of Earth had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same. The sun rose over the shattered cities of Valera, casting long shadows over the ruins. Smoke curled into the sky, a reminder of the destruction the Dominion had wrought. The Valerians, once scattered and terrified, now moved cautiously through the streets, guided by the humans. Their homes, their gardens, their cities, all had suffered. But there was something new in their hearts. Hope Captain Aaron Blake stood on a high tower, looking across the horizon. The Dominion had retreated after their first defeat, but he knew they would return. They would bring more ships, more soldiers, more firepower. And when they did, the humans would have to fight, not just for survival, but for the very existence of an entire civilization. Blake turned to his second-in-command, Lieutenant Mara Hayes, who had helped coordinate the evacuation of Valorian civilians. "They'll hit harder this time," he said. "We can't just defend. We have to end this, or Valora will never be safe." Amara nodded. "We fight until they cannot rise again. We protect the innocents, no matter what." The humans worked quickly to fortify positions across the city. Using technology designed for defense and precision strikes, they created barriers, traps, and shields. Valorians watched and helped where they could, moving supplies, tending to the injured, and providing vital knowledge of the terrain. What had once been a helpless population was slowly becoming part of a defensive network, guided by Earth's fiercest warriors. When the Dominion fleet returned, it was more massive than before. Hundreds of warships blotted out the sky, their weapons primed to destroy everything in sight. Dominion commanders, confident in their superiority, laughed as they saw the humans on the ground. They had never faced beings like these before, human soldiers who moved like shadows, striking with precision and disappearing. Before counterattacks could reach them, the first wave of Dominion ships fired upon the city, beams of energy slicing through buildings. But the humans were ready. Shields flared, absorbing the attacks. Energy disruptors disabled enemy weapons mid-fire. Every Valorian who had survived the first wave now helped guide the humans. Identifying weak points in the Dominion's strategies, Blake and his team moved through the battlefield with calm determination. Soldiers from Earth advanced side by side, protecting Valorian families as they evacuated. A group of human engineers worked tirelessly, redirecting power from destroyed towers to enhance the city's defenses. Explosions shook the ground, buildings trembled, yet the humans pressed forward, relentless. Dominion soldiers tried to storm the central plaza, where many Valorians had gathered for protection. They expected chaos, panic, and surrender. Instead, they found humans waiting, perfectly coordinated. Lieutenant Hayes led a small squad, using speed and intelligence to disable Dominion assault bots before they could reach the civilians. Other humans moved like hunters, appearing behind enemy lines, striking, and disappearing again. The Valorians were awestruck. They had never seen courage like this, never witnessed a power that combined strength, strategy, and unwavering protection for the weak. And yet, for all the humans' power, they never took pleasure in destruction. Every strike was calculated. Every action meant to save lives whenever possible, Captain Blake observed from a high vantage point as the Dominion's flagship moved into position above the central city. Its energy weapons were massive, capable of leveling entire districts. He knew what he had to do. "We stop that ship," he told his team. "We hit it now, or we lose everyone below." The humans moved into formation. Using specialized spacecraft and ground-based launchers, they targeted the flagship's critical systems. Explosions rocked the ship as humans advanced, facing waves of Dominion reinforcements. The Valorians, inspired by the humans' bravery, helped wherever they could, guiding ships through narrow passages, warning of traps, and providing intelligence on the enemy's positions. The battle raged across the city and sky. Human forces struck with precision, disabling the Dominion fleet one ship at a time. Dominion soldiers fought fiercely, but they were unprepared for tactics that combined unpredictability, strategy, and sheer courage. Even the strongest Dominion commanders were outmaneuvered. Captain Blake personally led a boarding team onto the flagship. The interior was vast and cold, filled with machines and soldiers ready to defend their leaders. But the humans moved like a shadow army, silent, deadly, and coordinated. They disabled key systems, freeing Valorian prisoners along the way. Blake faced the Dominion commander, a towering figure of brute strength. The fight was intense. Power versus strategy, brute force versus calculated skill. Blake dodged energy blasts, used the commander's momentum against him, finally disabled him without killing. The Dominion's fleet, seeing their flagship neutralized, began to falter. Ships turned, retreating in confusion. The humans pressed their advantage, striking decisively, ensuring that the Dominion could not regroup. Slowly, the battle shifted from a desperate defense to a clear victory. On the ground, Valorians emerged from their hiding places, helping humans clear rubble, treat the wounded, and rescue those trapped beneath collapsed structures. Captain Blake walked through the city, seeing the faces of those he had saved, children smiling despite tears, elders nodding in gratitude, and leaders of Valora bowing with respect. Lyara, the scientist who had sent the original plea for help, approached him cautiously. You answered our cry," she said softly. "We thought no one would come." "You asked for mercy," he said. "We came to give it. No one deserves to die when they have done nothing wrong." The Valorians stared at the humans in awe. They had expected warriors, soldiers, and weapons. What they had received were monsters, creatures terrifying in power and relentless in action, yet guided by mercy and honor. As the smoke cleared, the humans surveyed the city. Many were injured, exhausted, and battered, but the mission was complete. Valora was free, its people alive, its hope restored. The Dominion, though not entirely destroyed, had been defeated and forced to retreat from this sector of the galaxy. Captain Blake looked at the horizon, thinking of the price they had paid and the price the Dominion would pay if they returned. He turned to Liara. "Your people are safe for now," he said. "We cannot stay forever, but you will survive. That is enough." Liara nodded, tears streaming down her face. She could not find words, so she simply extended her hand. Blake shook it firmly. Across Valora, monuments were later erected to honor what had happened. Not for the humans who fought, but for what they represented: courage, protection, and mercy. And when people spoke of the battle, they always said the same words. They asked for mercy. The monsters of Earth answered. For centuries to come, Valorians told the story of the humans who arrived when all hope was lost. They taught their children that strength was not just in power, but in the courage to protect others. They reminded themselves that true monsters could save lives, that terror could come wrapped in mercy, and that the universe had allies even in the darkest times. Captain Blake and his team returned to Earth. Knowing that their mission had changed something in the galaxy, humans had shown a power beyond technology or weapons. The power to act for justice, for mercy, and for life. And somewhere, across distant stars, other civilizations listened to Valera's tale and whispered a new warning. Pray the monsters of Earth hear your call. For when they do, mercy will come, but only for those who deserve it. The Valorians could rebuild. The Dominion could recover. But the humans had arrived and the galaxy had learned a new truth. When Earth's monsters answer a cry for help, no injustice goes unchallenged, and no innocent is left unprotected. The story ended not with the sound of victory or celebration, but with hope. Hope that mercy is possible, even in a universe filled with darkness. Hope that the monsters of Earth would always come when the innocent cry, and in the quiet of the newly rebuilt Valorian cities. Children looked up at the stars, imagining the humans who had saved them, dreaming of the day they might see these monsters again, not to fear them, but to remember that courage, strength, and mercy can walk together even across the stars.